Hi, this is the 40-second video for my eShop web application project. Here we are going to program the admin homepage including the summarized report. First, we'll be programming these 6 blocks and then these 2 cards. This is my admin homepage code. Here at the top I've given a PHP script and given session start require connection.php, and then I've given an if condition to check whether if a admin is in session. Otherwise, an echo will come from the server side as you are not a valid user. In my code, I've separated the filter and then the blocks. Here in the block inside a PHP script, I've taken today's date, month and year by these variables, and I've made new variables A, B, C, E and F and given them the values 0. Afterwards, I've given a search query to the invoice table, and inside a for loop, I've taken the data of each row of the invoice table. For $F, I've given $F plus invoice data quantity and taken the total quantity of the products in the invoice table. Then, I've taken $D and taken the date from the invoice data. I've split the date and time by the space and taken the date as $P date. If $P date is equal to $today, I've assigned $A as $A plus invoice data total and $C as $C plus invoice data quantity. By this, I've taken the total earnings of today and the total sellings of today. Afterwards, I've split the date again by the dash and separated the year and the month. Then an if condition if the year is this year, and another if condition to check if the month is this month. I've assigned $B as $B plus invoice data total and $E as $E plus invoice data quantity. By this, I've taken the total earnings of this month and the total sellings of this month. Afterwards, for each block, I've echoed the total sellings and total earnings. For total engagements, I've given another PHP script inside which I've given a search query to the user table to get the number of rows in the user table. Then I've echoed that number. For total active time, inside PHP scripts, I've given $start date and then today's date and time and taken the difference. Then inside another PHP script, I've echoed the difference and taken the year, month, date, hours, minutes and seconds separately. To get the mostly sold item, I've given a search query to the invoice table to get the product ID that has occurred the most today in the invoice table, and then an if condition to check whether if there is an item like that in the invoice table. Otherwise, I've given this code where the image src is the empty SVG file and the text is empty. Otherwise, I've taken the data of that row in the invoice table and stored it as $frequency data. Then I've given a search query to the product table where the ID is the product ID of $frequency data, and then a search query to the images table where the product ID is the product ID of $frequency data. I've given another search query to the invoice table to get the sum of the quantity where the product ID is the product ID of $frequency data and the date is today. Afterwards, for the image src, I've given the path from $image data, and for these pans, I've given the details of that product. I've echoed the product title, the product quantity, and I've taken the total price by multiplying quantity total by the price of the product. For the most famous seller, inside PHP scripts, I've given an if condition. If there is no mostly sold item, then the image src will be the new user SVG file and the span will be empty If there is a mostly sold item, I've given a search query where the user email is the user email of the mostly sold item, and then I've given another search query to the user table where the email is the user email of the mostly sold product. For the image SRC, I've given the path from $profile data, and I've echoed the user's first name, last name, email and mobile.